Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Okay, everybody's awake. I am Brian Waller, the mayor of Piscataway, New Jersey, and chair of the Conference of Mayors Membership Committee. Welcome to the 88th meeting of the United States Conference of Mayors. I am excited that you have joined us for our meeting. Before I begin my remarks, I would like to acknowledge the conference president, Brian Barnett. Let's give him a round of applause. Thank you for your leadership over the past year. Let me take a moment to acknowledge also our Vice President, Greg Fisher of Louisville. Greg, stand up, say hello. Our second Vice President, Nan Whaley of Dayton, Ohio. And also past President Steve Benjamin of Columbia, South Carolina, and Elizabeth Couts of Burnsville, Minnesota. And I know Minnesota's in the house. And our CEO and Executive Director, Tom Carnes. Let's give them all a round of applause again. Let me give a special thanks to the Membership Committee Vice Chairs, Joe McElveen of Sumter, South Carolina, and also Myle Atkins of Mooresville, North Carolina, Chris Coos of Normal, Illinois, and Ken Maegisha of La Cruces, New Mexico. Those are my colleagues as Vice Chairs. Give them a round of applause, too. It has been a pleasure to work with them and the conference that has truly benefited from their service. And finally, let me give you a special welcome to all the newly elected mayors and first-time attendees. Can you stand up very quickly? First-time attendees and newly elected. Come on, thank you. All right, to all you veterans out there, right there, veteran mayors there, give them a round of applause. Thank you for joining us, and we're so glad you could be here with us. My involvement with the conference began shortly after I was elected, after 2000. After my first meeting, I made a commitment to be an active participant in the Conference of Mayors. And now, almost 20 years later, I've stayed true to my commitment and have attended nearly every conference, winter meeting, and leadership meeting of the organization during that time. I am grateful to have served with so many great mayors across the country, addressing important national issues and initiatives that facilitate work that we do on behalf of our cities, towns, and residents. I am fortunate to call many of these mayors my good friends. I am also honored to have the opportunity to serve as the member of the advisory board and as chair of the membership standing committee, where I've had honored to lead more than a decade. It's been a very rewarding experience. I am pleased that the conference has expanded its members' benefits and services to include best practices forums, other initiatives, and if you will have the opportunity to participate during the winter meeting. The conference core activity remains its effective representation and influence of town's interests on Capitol Hill. In part, it is this reputation of effectiveness and influence that has motivated me to join this organization many years ago. So let me close by saying that to all the newly elected mayors, congratulations again. And to those first-time attendees, we look forward to hearing from you for over the next 3 days. We will need your help and engagement as we work to broaden and further strengthen our capacities to serve the needs of American cities and towns. And before I close out and introduce our president, I would just like to mention, for those senior mayors that are in the room, you were sent out buddy letters for the new-time mayors here. Get to know those mayors that are out. I want you all to connect up there. And for those first-time mayors who are involved in the organization, there are committees that you can be on and many task force out there. And then to meet some of the folks of the Business Council out there. And last, I would say I got to give a shout out to my home team, my colleagues back in Piscataway, who put up with me 365 days a year. Thank you to the town council and the residents out there. We're the home of Rutgers University, go Big Ten. And also the newest community center in the state of New Jersey is being built, and we're a Money Magazine town. So if you're ever near in Piscataway and want to go to a Big Ten game, just pick up the phone and give me a shout. So without further ado, I want to finally take this moment to invite each of you to join the membership committee members today at 9:15 in the Pan American room for a special roundtable discussion amongst committee members and newly elected mayors, first-time attendees for best practices of local priorities. Now, let's give a warm welcome, introduce our president from Rochester Hills, Michigan, Mayor Brian Barnett. Come on out, Mr. President.
Good morning, everyone. It's actually not too bad. You can't be tired yet. It's the first day of a pretty impressive week of activities. I'm so glad that you're here, and so glad that you're here for our first session to really kick things off, I hope, in a pretty exciting and upbeat way. We've got some great mayors, and I think a really great program for you to get a little bit of a better understanding about what the Conference of Mayors is all about. Now, I want to thank my friend who I know would not leave the stage without mentioning Rutgers, because he's, I think, the biggest Rutgers fan in the world. Thank you, Mayor Waller, for your strong and steady leadership of our membership committee. Mayor Waller has been an excellent representative of our organization. Let's give Mayor Waller a hand one more time, please. Well, let me welcome all of you to the largest gathering of mayors anywhere on the planet. It's our 88th winter meeting, the 88th year we've gotten together as the United States Conference of Mayors. And there's been some really exceptional energy around this week for some time. And I'm proud to announce, as Mayor Waller mentioned as leading the membership committee, that we've been doing really good with getting more and more mayors here. In fact, our attendance is up nearly 20% from our winter meeting last year and approaching one of the highest attendances we've had in recent memory. So give yourselves a round of applause if you would, please. Really thrilled that each of you are here, and my goal is to make sure that you leave with something valuable for you and something impactful for your city. That is the sole purpose that we exist, and that is our goal over the next 3 days. And let me ask you a quick question. I know Brian asked this as well, but I was backstage and couldn't see. How many of you are here for the very first time? This is your first USCA meeting. Can you raise your hand? Oh, that's fantastic. Give them all a round of applause if you would, please. We're certainly glad that you're here and welcome you to this celebration and hope that you'll better understand what our organization is all about at the end of this session. Well, you may have noticed, if you watched any television in the last week, that there's a fair amount going on in this city right now. Just in time, of course, for our arrival and giving us a proverbial front row seat. But let me assure you that as long as this conference is here, there's no trial going on in this room. We're moving ahead, as usual, as mayors do every day. And we, and by that I mean every single one of you, remain viewed more favorably than any other group of elected official in America. And we hold on to that dearly. Now, my involvement with this conference began more than 13 years ago, and not a day goes by that I'm not reminded of the benefits of membership of the United States Conference of Mayors, or why I initially joined. Now, many of you, me included, have been waiting for this week for some time. It's a great opportunity to reconnect with our colleagues and our friends from across the nation. It's our opportunity to tell our stories, to share our successes, and to advocate for our cities and our residents, with just a little bit of it, of course, happening at the Capitol Hilton Bar. The family reunion is absolutely back in town. Now, some of you have heard me tell my story and how I got involved with the conference first. I was a 30-year-old city councilman appointed mid-meeting when the previous mayor announced an illness and her immediate retirement. I found myself the strong mayor of a city of 75,000 people with a staff of 500. And of course, there was no manual. There was no top 10 things to do when you wake up and find yourself the mayor. There wasn't even, for me, an opportunity to talk to the outgoing mayor. It was just me and a big desk in a big office, truly with an invitation that the previous mayor hadn't opened, sitting on that desk. It was an invitation to the Conference of Mayors summer meeting in June. So I took a chance and signed up. I knew no one. I brought no staff. I just decided to see what I could quietly pick up from the back of the room without making too much of a fuss. And I was blown away. The information was pertinent, the topics relevant, but the relationships were real. And to me, 13 years later, they remain real to this day. Over my last decade of involvement with the Conference of Mayors, it has been those authentic relationships that have both encouraged me and challenged me to be a better leader and mayor. Now, the relationships, friendships, and civility of mayors are truly the secret sauce that so many other organizations would love to emulate. This week, we won't introduce ourselves as Democrats, Republicans, Independents, or Libertarians, and you probably didn't walk in this morning and ask whether the person you're sitting next to watched Fox, CNN, or MSNBC last night. The camaraderie here is the antithesis of what we see in the federal government. You know, our country is seemingly at odds, and no one seems to agree with anyone or on anything, but we're able as mayors to meet and work together constructively and productively. And it's something I talk about and brag about everywhere I go. And it all works because this is a group of people that actually like one another. We get each other. We talk to each other, and more importantly, we listen to one another. We have common interests, we share common goals, we care about each other's problems, and we all share this unique and empowering title of mayor. We wake up to wonderful articles in the newspaper about our city's latest accomplishments and successes, and then go to bed reading angry tweets about those same decisions. The life of a mayor is wonderful. It's exciting, it's challenging and rewarding, but can also feel, as most of you know, a bit isolating at times. You need a network, you need perspective, and you need support. As I like to say, the beautiful bipartisanship that we experience here is on the endangered species list in America and is generally only found now in America's city halls. And as mayors in this room, we must protect it, we must embrace it, and we must pass it on and never lose our high ground. It's what makes us unique. And in times of historic gridlock, this convening of people of every political persuasion, united behind a common purpose to create better opportunities for those we serve, is our headline coming out of Washington this week. We are and stand as America's best hope for real change in the future. So as we gather for our 88th meeting, we hearken back to our founding principles, a conference founded way back in 1932. I think Mayor Giles had just been elected to the Mesa City Council. Hopefully he's not here this morning. What you may not know is that the conference began in my friend Mayor Duggan's city of Detroit, a city just 20 minutes from my city of Rochester Hills. And since I don't believe Mayor Duggan is on the stage this morning, to refute this statement, Rochester Hills and Detroit will share ownership of the United States Conference of Mayors, at least this morning. So let's take a quick look at this short video about the compelling history of our conference. Take a look.
You might say that the United States Conference of Mayors was born on the streets of America's cities in 1932. American cities at that time were in the grip of rising unemployment, homelessness, and even starvation brought on by the Great Depression. To keep his city, Detroit, from sliding further into misery and despair, Detroit Mayor and later Attorney General Frank Murphy needed outside help. With little help from President Hoover and the federal government, Mayor Murphy turned to his fellow mayors. He invited mayors from around the country to come to Detroit to discuss the common problems the cities faced. On June 1, 1932, 29 of the country's mayors traveled to Detroit City Hall. Their cities had been through tough times before, but none like these. This unprecedented situation required an unprecedented solution. Boston Mayor James Michael Curley said at that time, quote, "Unless action is taken at an early date, the welfare of the people is not only in jeopardy, but the continued existence of our nation is problematical," unquote. And so out of that meeting came a proposal to bring federal resources into distressed cities, an almost radical idea at the time. They envisioned a $5 billion direct-to-cities loan program from the Federal Reconstruction Finance Corporation. As the mayor saw it, the cities were bearing an unfair share of the country's struggling population, and federal assistance was more than justified. And also out of the June 1st meeting emerged an idea for a permanent association of mayors that would be located in Washington, D.C. Upon leaving Detroit, the mayors immediately sent a delegation to Washington to present their loan program to Congress and the President. And later that year, the Congress passed the Emergency Relief and Construction Act of 1932, giving the RFC authority to make direct investments in economically depressed cities. And early the following year, on February 17, 1933, the mayors met again, this time in Washington, D.C., at the Mayflower Hotel. Mayor Murphy had in hand a proposed constitution for a new organization that would advocate for the rights of cities. And Milwaukee Mayor Dan Hone put forth a resolution in support, and in short order, the United States Conference of Mayors became a reality. The mayors later met with new President Franklin Delano Roosevelt to help bring our cities and nation out of the Great Depression.
For 88 years, we've been gathering together, stronger than ever, with a purpose and mission of the conference that remains just as relevant today, no matter your party affiliation, your geographic location, or the size of your city. I can unequivocally tell you that Rochester Hills, Michigan has benefited directly through the advocacy, best practices, business connections, grant opportunities, and networking, all facilitated and made possible through the United States Conference of Mayors. So this morning now, we're going to meet some folks that I think will help tell the story. This morning, we will hear from three of America's great mayors: Mayor de la Isla, Mayor Perkins, and Mayor Price. We'll also hear from Mayor Ginther. I poke fun at him all the time because he's from Ohio State. Sorry, Andy. I'm sorry, you hear from four of America's great mayors, Mayor Ginther included. Now, whether you've been affiliated with the conference for 15 or 20 years, like our deans, Mayors Couts, Bulwidge, Berger, Brainerd, County, Cabaldon, and others, or whether this is your first meeting, you'll be inspired by these stories. These mayors share and will be reminding us again of the power, influence, and value of membership in the United States Conference of Mayors. So let me introduce our panel, beginning with the mayor of the great city of Topeka, Kansas, Michelle de la Isla. She became mayor in 2018 and has a truly remarkable and inspiring story that we'll hear this morning. She is currently vice chair of the U.S. Conference of Mayors Youth Involvement Task Force. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome one of the kindest and most passionate people you will ever meet, Mayor Michelle de la Isla. And I'm elated to have my friend, colleague, hopefully still my friend, and my neighbor to the south, Mayor Andy Ginther from Columbus, Ohio, on our panel today. He's currently chair of the Conference of Mayors Council on Metro Economies, and under his watch, Columbus was named America's Opportunity City. This is my favorite picture of Andy Ginther. He is leading one of the Midwest's fastest growing cities, which will host our conference's summer meeting in 2022. And listen to this, mayors, you'll know this is impressive. With a population of 900,000 residents, he ran absolutely unopposed in his election last year. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Columbus Mayor Andy Ginther. Next, meet the incredibly impressive Adrian Perkins, mayor of Shreveport, Louisiana. Now, you think your resume is impressive. Listen to this. Mayor Perkins is a West Point and Harvard Law graduate. He's also a veteran, having served multiple tours in Iraq and Afghanistan, and has been awarded the Bronze Star for heroic service in a combat zone. He became mayor in December of 2018 in his first run for office, coming home to serve the community in which he was raised. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome my friend, Mayor Adrian Perkins. Now it's my pleasure to introduce my dear friend for many years. Betsy Price has been the mayor of Fort Worth, Texas since 2011. Her energy, passion, and enthusiasm are contagious, and she's someone that you're going to want to meet if you don't already know her. Mayor Price serves on the United States Conference of Mayors Advisory Board, and is also known nationally for her rolling biking town halls. Please give a warm welcome to the rootin' tootin' mayor of Fort Worth, Texas, Mayor Betsy Price. And finally, it's my privilege to introduce our CEO and Executive Director of the United States Conference of Mayors, whose competent and expert team, who I hope you will take some time to get to know this week while you're here, keeps our entire conference running. If you know Tom, you know he loves his Georgia Bulldogs and telling stories about every president in modern history. His vision leads us every day. Ladies and gentlemen, our CEO and Executive Director, Mr. Tom Cochran. So we have a great panel, and I want to start it off by asking each mayor to share how they've engaged and benefited with the conference or from the conference, as I think all of you have got some different advantages and benefits, each in your different way. I want to start with you, Mayor de la Isla. Why don't you lead us off? And I mentioned and alluded to your background a little bit. Why don't you introduce yourself and talk a little bit about your introduction into the conference?
So I was on the city council in 2013 and decided to run for mayor in 2017 and became elected. And it was kind of interesting because I get this invitation to go to this school in Harvard and get connected with the Conference of Mayors because they put up this education piece for all new mayors, which was so important. And immediately getting in there, when I got elected, we had a young African-American male shot down by 2 officers that happened to be Caucasian. So you can imagine that this was all in the wake of Ferguson. It was extremely difficult times. And the conference and all the mayors here all came around to support me, to guide me, and to help me lead my community knowing that I was not alone. I have participated in the Mayor's Institute on City Design, the Mayor's Innovation Project, and I am very proud to say that I just got elected to the advisory board. This conference really has made a difference in me being able to lead in my community.
That's great. Mayor Ginther, you've also been involved for a while in several leadership positions in the conference. Tell us a little bit about your road to the conference, a little bit about Columbus, and then focus maybe a minute or two on some of the business opportunities, grants, and other things that you found to be advantageous with your relationship with the conference.
Well, I served on our local board of education for about 6 years and on council for 8, but had never really got involved in the membership associations with those groups. But I got calls right after I was elected from mayors around the country encouraging my participation in the conference. And to Michelle's point, we called it Mayor School. The partnership between the U.S. Conference of Mayors and the Harvard Kennedy School of Government was absolutely outstanding. Preparation during that transitional time after being elected, but before taking office, was a great opportunity to delve right in and take advantage of a lot of resources from the conference as I was forming my first government there in my first term. I'd say that there's so many benefits to the conference, and those of you that are here for the first time, and I got to give a shout out because of our roadshow, President Barnett, Sloan Spalding from New Albany, the mayor of New Albany, has joined the conference and is part of that growth that you're talking about. You really find all of the great resources, whether it's the Community Wins grant, the Climate Protection Award, Childhood Obesity Prevention Awards, many of the things that are making a difference in cities. And the great part about the conference is part of our message has really been this isn't just about big cities, that there are places for cities of all sizes within the conference and great resources for cities across the country. And so thrilled to see everyone here today and continued to be excited about our growth.
Yeah. Thanks, Andy. Follow-up question, any hints on how to run unopposed? Just do a great job. Set you up well for that.
Mary way up. I think Shannon Ginther, it was my key to success in running unopposed.
Thanks, Andy. Great comments, great feedback. We'll probably talk a little bit more about this, but Tom will tell you every time we get together, I think about $1 million leaves this stage and goes out to member communities in the forms of grants and other awards. So certainly a lot of opportunity to bring some actual cold, hard cash back to your community as well. Mayor Perkins, as one of the newer elected mayors on stage, tell us, why get involved in this, and what have been some of the benefits you've realized for maybe speaking to some of the first-time attendees here in the crowd?
Gotcha. Absolutely, and thanks for the invite. Being the rookie on stage is a bit of an honor to be surrounded by so much experience. But I'll say last year I was elected the mayor of Shreveport, a 200,000 person city. It's a strong mayor form of government. And I was about 2 weeks into office when I came here to the winter conference. And not only was I a young mayor, but it was my first elected office. So I didn't even know what questions to ask when I was here. And quickly I learned from the mayors really wrapped their arms around me, and they told me some things that would come in handy. But I'll say, being in office at the time, even if it wasn't obvious that I could use that information, it became obvious down the road. So, I really appreciated mayors like Steve Adler, who took me to breakfast on the morning and kind of talked me through some things that I would know. Tom Cochran has really taken me under his wing. Steve Benjamin, a bunch of mayors have been like the best part of this conference. But in addition to that, the resources that have been offered, I went to Civic I.O. At South by Southwest and engaged with mayors, engaged with a bunch of startups that are looking for cities just like mine to start their companies. I went to the Smart Cities Institute at NYU, where we walked through one of our problems that we're having at home, the digital divide. My project at the Smart Cities Institute was trying to create universal broadband internet in my hometown. So having industry experts kind of walk me through that process was fantastic. And there's multiple things that the conference offers. So since the beginning, since the first 2 weeks when I didn't know what was up from down, I didn't know where the bathrooms were at City Hall, this organization has been great in just walking me through being a mayor. So very, very appreciative. And for the newcomers here, really just soak it all in, meet as many people as you can, and just you will get out of this experience what you put into it.
Yeah, that's really true. Thanks, Adrian. Good points. Mayor Price, you from a different perspective, have been elected for about 7-8 years in Fort Worth, just recently reelected not too long ago. I know because I've been with you a few times advocating for our cities here in Washington and other places. Maybe tell us a little bit about your journey here, and then maybe focus a little bit on some of the things that the conference has done to advocate and how that's benefited you and the citizens of Fort Worth.
Sure. I'm actually in my 9th year. I'm older than a lot of you, and I think I've served longer. Tom, you and I might be the seniors up here. But, you know, this is a great organization. When I was elected in 2011, Mayor Rawlings in Dallas, and Mayor Johnson may be here somewhere also, was elected the same day I was, and Tom came to Texas to see both of us. And I didn't know, I had served at the county level as county tax assessor, but not at the city level. And it was my hometown, and we were experiencing unprecedented growth. In the 9 years I've been in office, we've moved from 745,000 people to 900,000 people. It's incredible. But Tom came and said, you need to get involved with U.S. Conference of Mayors. And one of the first things that I had the pleasure of doing, we had a major redevelopment project after a major tornado came through Fort Worth. And you invited us to go to the Mayor's Design Institute. And we went with Mayor Joe Riley. And what a treat it was to get to know Joe, who really knew it all. But from then, it just mushroomed. It was a great opportunity. And now, one of my favorite things that you're going to all learn is the advocacy part. The opportunity to come here, to network, to go to the Hill, and take a bipartisan group with you to see not just your legislatures, but to see others. The chance to go to the White House to talk a little bit about, from a bipartisan issue, from a public safety piece about gun control. Obviously, NAFTA 2.0, USMCA now, is critical for Fort Worth and Texas, and the chance U.S. Conference of Mayors has been the leader on helping us get that now signed into law. Wasn't sure we were going to see that, Tom.
Right.
We were beginning to wonder. And then I've gotten to know Brian, and if you don't know Brian yet, get to know him. Or maybe you shouldn't. He'll tempt you with tequila shots, only he'll drink water.
Well, we're out of time. We're out of time. He cheats. The last time you'll see Mayor Price on stage today.
We got to tell the truth about you, Brian. We can't have him thinking you're just some up on a pedestal.
Mayor Price, your time is over. No, I think you'll find out, as I said in my opening remarks, we are a group that actually really gets along and likes each other, and I think that comes true whenever we're together. It is a joy to be with everyone. And the person that has led this organization for a very long time and is really an icon in Washington, if you ask around, not just representing this, but with his influence here in the Capitol and with mayors around the country, is Tom Cochran. And Tom, one of the great benefits that I didn't take advantage of initially was getting to know the staff and the strength of the U.S. Conference of Mayors team that stands with you and behind you. First of all, tell us your perspective about what makes this conference so unique, and then tell us, how do we get to know the staff, and how can we understand the benefits that are available from your team?
We have 28 people. They work 24/7, and the phone rings on Saturday and it rings on Sunday. And my cell phone is 202-744-9110. And I don't know why I have a landline anymore, because, you know, that's what it's all about. And they're totally dedicated to this organization. And some of them leave and they come back. So I started when I was the age of 12. And we have a rich talent and experience. And so our philosophy is that if you call and say, I'm trying to get a public parking lot funded, what do I do? I don't just send it down the hallway. We have a meeting about it. We have a conference room called the War Room, and we have a meeting about it. And if we don't know the answer, we find you the answer. So that's the way we feel about our members. Very special, and we really are very appreciative of all of you who are here today. I do want to mention, and money helps, but there was a time when we used to give out plaques for awards, best this, best this, best this. And we now have about $1.5 million coming off of these stages 2 times a year. And starting off with the Community Wins program, there's 8 different awards dividing up $1 million. And we thank our Business Council members who have been helping with this. The Child Obesity Awards at $445,000. You must apply for these. We have the DollarWise grants at $70,000 from Bank of America, and and the Climate Protection Awards from our good friends at Walmart. So certainly they help fund the organization, but I say, hey, let's send some back to our cities, and that's my philosophy when we have incredible corporate sponsors like we do. So I do want to say this. I want to thank you for your leadership, and just point out that it is an election year, and to also remember we are bipartisan. I don't know what we never know. We never put R or D's on our name. You're just the mayor of Fort Worth, and I'll tell you, I've been in here a long time, and sometimes I don't know who's a Democrat and who's a Republican. I don't care. We just got to get it done. So we've been very fortunate to have a bipartisan group of mayors, about over 100 mayors, who have written this document, and we released this in Iowa. You'll see more about it in our videos later on this morning, but it's very, very important for you to look at this. It's 12 points in it, and they're going to be coming through your cities and your states. So when they're there, there's got to be one thing in this book you support. I mean, there's 12 things, but really, lean on them. Lean on them when they're trying to ask you to vote, because one of them's going to get elected, or maybe come and be part of this organization. We'll be at the White House on Friday pushing this, and we were in Iowa, and we're going to keep going. So we'll have these to give out to you, but I just wanted to mention this from an advocacy point of view, because we've got to know that this is the age of the cities and the age of mayors. And thank you for your leadership and all of you for being here. And if I can be of any further service to you, please let me know. Period.
Thank you, Tom. Appreciate your steady leadership of this. And Tom's right to point out this document. We're going to be talking a lot about this week, including with the presidential candidates that will be here later today, tomorrow, and then, of course, at the White House on Friday. And Tom mentioned something about the grants that I think is important. And for those of you newer mayors that are here, one of the things that the media, your council members will always like to point at is travel and membership expenses. And let me just share with you my personal story, because we all sometimes fight those battles. For my city of size of 75,000, I think our membership dues are something like $5,500 a year. We've been proactive in going after these grants. And so the hard dollars that have returned to my city in the last 3 years is over $150,000. I can't afford not to belong to the United States Conference of Mayors because of the success we've had with some of the grants. If you were to drive you around my town, I could take you to a playground, I could take you to a community garden, I could take you to an intern program that have all been funded from grants we've received at the Conference of Mayors. So the financial aspects of this conference truly should not be ignored. And if you have never applied for a grant, you absolutely should, because as I said, we give away, as Tom said, $1.5 million every time we get together. So back to the panel. Each of you have had some experience attending a meeting in the past. Is there an idea, a concept, either from a mayor or from a session that you've taken back to your city and you've applied, or you're adapting? Give us a good takeaway that you've had from your engagement here. And I'll start with Mayor Price and work back this way.
It's hard to put your finger on any one thing. There's been pieces and parcels of so many things that we've taken back. We are the largest Blue Zone certified community in the nation now, and it's all about the health of the community. And a lot of that stemmed from one of our very early programs. It was on childhood obesity and community health and how it focuses. And we begin to take information from that healthy program, from some of the others who've done childhood obesity things for Fitworth, our program we started nearly 8 years ago. Those are the pieces, but even if you don't take back one specific thing, you will gain a lot of pieces. There's a lot of our business associates out here that you can stop and talk to and get technology. Zen City, we implemented, and we found out about Zen City here at U.S. Conference of Mayors. I think it's really, you may not have any one thing, but you'll have a lot of different ideas and pull them together and wrap them around, and whether they fit, whether you're a very small city or a very large city, they'll fit them. But the best piece is that you can pick up the phone when you have an issue and call Tom or his staff. And just as importantly, you can pick up the phone and call another mayor. Right. And say, I don't want to reinvent the wheel. I'm far too busy for that. Tell me what you've done because I know you've done it. That's really the takeaway, is the friendship and the ability to call other people and not have to reinvent the wheel. That has been a really godsend for me.
Yeah, I agree. Mayor Perkins.
I'll say I kind of hinted at it in my opening remarks, but the time at the Smart City Institute at NYU really helped me in a big way. One of the things that I campaigned on was making sure we upgraded City Hall and we utilized technology to the best that we could. And one of those things in addressing some of the technology issues with my hometown was the digital divide in my hometown. So like in many of your communities, our less affluent areas don't have access to broadband internet or high-speed internet. So in looking at the project and how we would roll it out, I can tell you as a candidate, it seemed way more simple than it does as mayor in dealing with the city council and dealing with the budget and everything else. So it was great to go to NYU and learn from industry experts, because they actually pointed out a bunch of roadblocks prior to me even experiencing it. And I can gladly say, after about a year of convincing my city council, that probably in the first quarter of this year, we're going to roll out a beta test for how we're going to lay conduit throughout the city of Shreveport to have universal broadband. So without that experience at NYU, I probably would have stumbled even more. Probably would have taken me 2 or 3 years to convince council. So just very happy for that experience, and it's paid off in a big way.
That's great. Great example. Mayor Ginther?
I'd say one of the things that's been most impactful from my engagement with the conference is the way the conference helped us in Ohio organize our voice into the Ohio Mayor's Alliance. So we have the 30 largest cities in the state, and you say, why 30? Well, if we'd only done the 20 largest, we'd all been Democrats, which doesn't really help with all Republican state government and supermajorities. So having the conference inspire that, and then offering the support, getting that organized. It was John Cranley, Nan Whaley, Lydia Mahalik that had the vision to bring that group together. It has totally changed the engagement and conversation happening in our state on behalf of cities. And so, the conference, the way it's structured, the way it's set up, the staff and their support was absolutely essential, and has helped us turn the page on our engagement with state government on behalf of cities in Ohio.
Yeah, that's great. Mayor Daly, Isla.
There's so many things. So everything from make sure that you get to know all the mayors and create your own coalition of mayors. We have text messages that go back and forth, everything from praying for each other's families to supporting each other when something goes wrong. I'll never forget when I went to the Mayor's Institute on City Design in Miami. We were talking about Riverfront. And I called the office, and Tom's team all came together, and they were like, okay, so these are the people that you need to talk to. We could help you out with meetings. How can we facilitate this? We still, from the resources that we learned at the Mayor's Institute on City Design, we still participate with those individuals that were there, because they bring a panel of experts to help you out. And it is amazing. We went to the NYU program as well. And because of that, we are now a What Works City. I think that we are at the silver level. And these are things that we couldn't have done because as mayors, we don't go in understanding every single in and out. The other thing that I have loved is the mentorship that I'm getting from other mayors and the activities that we're doing for the youth right now. So like right now, I'm gonna give a shout out to Bryce Litke, who is my youth who's here with us this morning. And Bryce has a seat at the table in the conference to know all these mayors and to understand how to go back to our community and lead. So, I mean, there's just so many things that I can't pinpoint on one. Get involved.
Yeah, no, it's a great point. You know, you've heard this mentioned a couple of times, and maybe Michelle, I might team up with you on this one. The Mayor's Institute of City Design. How many of you have gone to an MICD project or an MICD experience? Can't see how many hands out there. When you talk to mayors, many of them will tell you that this is the singular best takeaway that they've had from their engagement with the Conference of Mayors. I've done it as well. MICD, Mayor's Institute of City Design, is a fantastic program, happens 2 or 3 times a year, where they go to a certain location. They'll come out to your city. You'll present a problem, a challenge. They'll come out with experts, take a look at it. You'll craft a plan forward that you think. In my city, we looked at a park that we wanted to develop. Then you'll go to wherever the location is. You'll pitch it to a team of experts, land use experts, some folks that you could never assemble that have an affinity to the Conference of Mayors. About 8 mayors go, 8 or 10 mayors each time. And you leave with someone completely investing in your community. And like I said, we have a park that I could drive you to in Rochester Hills that is, completely influenced by our experience at the Mayor's Institute of City Design, started by probably the dean of all mayors, Mayor Riley from Charleston, South Carolina. But it is truly something to take advantage of. The longer you're with the conference, seek out Trinity and the MICD program, because it is something that, as Michelle, you're nodding, and Betsy, you're nodding, has been truly impactful. What was your project, Betsy?
Ours was what we call our West 7th Street redesign, which is just outside of our downtown area. And we'd had a major tornado come through and destroy an area that was struggling a little bit. It was a golden opportunity to really raise up an area that had been really impacted, lost a lot of businesses, a lot of homes and things. And we took it, and they came back with great, and we had developers buying up the land, and they were going to do very piecemeal developments along there. Some infill, low-income housing they were taking away as a result of the tornado. And we came together with the Design Institute and really drew up a comprehensive plan that covered about 3.5 miles along there. It isn't totally implemented. That was nearly 8 years ago. But the beauty of it is we did get a lot of it implemented, and consequently it's a much more unified, cohesive, and it also sits right up against our beautiful cultural district. And you've been there for world-class museums, and it needed to be right. And no one had a strong vision. But when you go to this Design Institute, you've got arts professionals, land professionals, architects, so many people. And you come back with major notes, and they all will write you later, the ones in my group did, with a full design of what they're thinking. And I actually had one of the architects come through about 2 years ago. And he said, let's go look at what you took back and did. And we implemented a lot of it. And it gave me the opportunity to look back at the book, and we're still implementing it. It truly is. You should apply, and you should pick a project. I mean, we picked 3 projects, and they picked the one that they thought we should work on. And it's a fun thing, particularly for new mayors, to get to go and present in front of another group of mayors and work with experts. And you'll use it over the course of your term in office for a long time.
Yeah. Michelle,
these are pro bono, top people in the world, architects, et cetera, and they have to sign an agreement. They will not come hound you and try to develop, et cetera. So that's the beauty of this too, Mayor. I just want to point that out.
I think over 1,200 mayors over the course of this project founded by Mayor Riley have participated in MICD. And the other thing about this, which was part of my plan, is I went in there thinking, man, I've got this great idea to develop this park. It's going to be incredible. I presented it, and they looked at me and they said, that'll never work. That's you're crazy. It's a pipe dream. People won't do this unless you do this. And there are some other mayors that presented too, pretty excited, major blind spots. And these folks said, people will never walk that far. They'll never do this. And so, we changed complete our trajectory for my park and some of the other mayors that presented. It's really a great program.
It can be brutal. They're very honest with you. I mean, you take your dream and they go. And it's a great vision, but
he called me short.
No
which I
city
didn't think
council
was
or
appropriate
press
even.
are there.
that's right. It's just mayors.
Let me ask each of you, again, we got a lot of first-timers here. The singular best tip you would give someone who's just starting to engage, even just becoming a part of this conference, but also walking into this position for the first time as a mayor? What is the best tip you'd give the folks in the audience today? We'll start with Michelle.
Get to know the staff. Get to know the staff, but also, most importantly, build personal relationships with mayors all across the country. Because the last thing that you want to do is find yourself in a really difficult situation and not having anybody to talk to, because in your city, everybody's your constituent.
Great. Andy?
One of the mayors taught me early on that good mayors borrow and great mayors steal. Steal as many ideas, and you can steal ideas from cities of all sizes. There is no mandate who has great ideas on cities around the country. And I think Michelle makes another great point, and that is leadership can be very lonely. And having the personal relationships with mayors from different parts of the country, from different backgrounds and perspectives, can really sustain you during a time of crisis. I've heard this from mayors that I know very well, everything from mass shootings to natural disasters. This is a very special group of mayors from around the country that want you and your city to succeed, period, regardless of party, geography, philosophical approach to things. And it is an incredibly useful and powerful group.
I would say just get to know as many mayors as possible, kind of echoing the message here. Even if they're not in your region, or your city is smaller, or your city is bigger. I mean, off the top of my head, I probably can name like 30 mayors from around the country that I've met at USCM events or similar events. And I can't, in looking back at my first year in office, I can't think of any major decision that I made when I didn't pick up the phone and call a mayor that I respected who had dealt with something similar, like every single issue. And I would not have been able to do that had I not come to USCM and had I not created that network. So my advice would be to reach out to as many mayors as possible, and I assure you it will make your tenure much easier and give you perspectives, objective perspectives, that'll make your quality of life in your city, your citizens much happier. So.
Yeah, I would echo what they have to say, but Tom's staff does an incredible job. If you've got an issue that you're working on and you want a white paper on it, whether you want a one-page or a little more in-depth one, call them up and they will research it and send you the information and then follow back up. It's invaluable. And on the friendship level, I think you just meet somebody. You know, Sly James, a former mayor of Kansas City, is a dear friend of mine. I met, as my husband said, you picked him up on the elevator, didn't you? And he's right. I met Sly in the elevator going to the top of the hotel, and he was just in Fort Worth recently working on his appointment projects, a project to help young women, particularly young minority women, get engaged on committees and boards and things. And you never know, it's an unlikely combination. I was in Kansas City with Sly about a year and a half ago. He's a strong Democrat. I mean, we're not partisan, but I lean right and he leans left, but we're best of friends and we have shared some invaluable things, and Brian and I too. I think it's the relationships you build and the resources that are here that will help you more than anything.
Yeah. Tom, you've got a lot of wisdom.
Yeah, well, I think that if you're a new mayor, and you recognize we have 11 standing committees, 24 task forces, whether it's planting trees, whether it's talking about how you're getting along with your police chief. The organization is AIDS to zebras, as we say. This is not a one-issue organization. So when you come here as a new mayor, you've got to think about, or even if you're old mayor, what's going on in your city this year, and how can you get in the weeds and dig a little deeper on an issue. And so when you're on the standing, it's not like when you're in Congress and you're on the committee forever. You can be on one committee 1 year, and 6 months later we can put you on another committee. So you've got to be looking at this meeting, watching the screen and talking to everyone, and be thinking about how this can help you, what's in front of you. And so there's so many issues that confront all of you. This incredible country is so diverse and so deep and so wide that, and that's the beauty of this organization, to take an issue that's really messing with you and we can help you solve it. And so with that, I urge all of you to please get involved with us sign up, and we'll put you to work. Thank you.
Yeah. You know, Tom mentioned a couple of things I think it's worth noting. First of all, hopefully all of you have signed up for the app while you're here. It'll certainly help you navigate the very busy agenda that we have, but it'll also direct you back to our website at US Mayors, and that's where you can get a lot more information. Some folks have been involved in the organization a long time, and they still don't understand because we haven't always done a great job talking about how we move through leadership and some of the opportunities that are available. But as Tom mentioned, we have 24 different task forces. Sometimes mayors come back to leadership and say, listen, this is something we're experiencing. We'd like to create a task force or create a group of mayors to come around this topic. Homelessness is something that we are absolutely focused on now. Opioids was something still focused on it, but opioids was something that was just taking over our cities and our towns in the past couple of years that we put a new refined focus on. Cybersecurity, which we're going to focus on here this week, is something that wasn't really on our radar a few years ago, but now is something that so many of us are dealing with. So we want to be and remain relevant because we're a membership organization. We have to represent the needs of all of you if you're going to stay engaged. And so with the task forces, with the initiatives, with the best practice forums, there are lots of ways to get involved, and that also helps you back home. Say I'm a vice chair of the Homelessness Task Force, the United States Conference of Mayors. That's some street cred when you're talking with the media, when you're talking with different folks back home about your city's engagement on a national level. From a leadership structure, just so you know, it's sometimes important to mention this, in our summer meeting is when we usually get involved and have many mayors run for leadership. We have, I think, 27 advisory board spots. So of all the mayors that are members, we have about 27 that are members of the advisory board. You run for those positions. Those 27 members then consider running for the board of trustees. There's 12 members of the board of trustees. And then those 12 members of the trustees will run for a second vice president, and then, of course, vice president, and then president. So we have a really active and engaged leadership structure. When we took this document out, we put it out to our leadership team, which is, I think, 99 mayors from across the country who had a chance to contribute to this because of their engagement and involvement in some way in leadership. So I would encourage you to find out how you might be able to do that. If there's one takeaway, don't just leave here with the idea that this is a great organization. Find a way to benefit your city while you're here, because as these mayors have indicated, there's certainly a lot to do that. My tip that I tell everyone when I get involved is to get cell phone numbers. It's so much easier to have a cell phone number than it is to have probably the office number that's on your card. And I know I texted in the probably 48 hours before I came here, I think over 100 mayors. And I have been on the receiving end of a lot of those encouraging texts. And I can't tell you, as these mayors indicated, that there's a certain feeling of isolation. I know in my city, if we wanted to get all the attorneys together, we could fill 2 or 3 rooms. If we wanted to get all the doctors together, you could fill 2 or 3 rooms. You want to get all the mayors together in my town, it's me. And that's true in your town as well. If you want to expand your reach and expand your experience, you have to reach out and get involved. Listen, I want to give you all the last word as we wrap in this particular forum this morning. You got mayors out there that are sitting out there that have made the decision, they've joined, or at least decided to come here. Some of you have been mayors for a year, some of you for a little bit longer. Your experience, you talked about Tippin joining the Conference of Mayors. What's the best part about being a mayor? Michelle.
I think the people. It's just, you get one-on-one access to your citizens, and it's just so invigorating, and it's also the most challenging part. And then the other part is the mayors. Just being able to have a network of mayors. It's amazing.
Mayor Ginther.
Innovation, reform. The only place it's really happening in America right now is at cities. And as mayors, we have this incredible opportunity to lead and improve the lives of our people. And it is a very unique and humbling opportunity.
I would say being the face of public service, we are all on the front lines in our communities. Unlike our state legislators that get to go to the Capitol and get away from home, or our city council members that can go over to another district and not be accountable, or even our federal delegations. We are on the front lines every day. We can go to the grocery store. We're gonna bump into a constituent. We can go to the mall, the church. People slide me, hey, my daughter needs a job notes in church. But we're truly on the front lines, and we are the face of public service, not just for our community, but for the country, and I find that invigorating. I think it's a lot of responsibility. It's extremely demanding in this 24-hour news cycle, but at the end of the day, it's also one of the most rewarding things that I think one can do.
Yeah, it really is. It's about the chance not for politics, but for public service to make a difference in your community, particularly in today's climate when we're not seeing much movement in Washington and often in our state houses. And it's about the people. It's about the generation that follow you. And one of my favorite things is to work on future items, because you're going to plant, as mayor, you're going to plant trees whose shade you're never going to sit under. But your family will, and future members of your city will, and you're doing the right things, and it's an incredible opportunity to have that time to serve.
Yeah. Tom?
Well, I think that I would like to say two things. Number one is June 12th, Austin, Texas. We're going to have a great meeting here, but Mayor Adler is here somewhere. Mayor Fisher, our vice president, will be coming in. And also want to give a shout out to the mayor of Las Vegas, who has been so helpful with our business council. We thank you for your leadership. But seriously, this is our winter meeting, and June 12th we go to Austin, Texas. And on the front end of that meeting, we had the opportunity to be involved with the nation of Mexico. We had the president of Mexico. We had 148 mayors from Canada, Mexico, and the United States. And so on the front end of the Austin meeting, Mayor Adler's here somewhere. He'll be talking to you about this later. We are going to continue to work with our friends up north and down below, because we are North America. We're looking to China, we're looking to Germany, but we got to remember how strong we can be together. So that's another dimension, an international dimension that we have not mentioned. That is very, very important, because stuff is made somewhere else and sold in our cities. So we're 50 states, but we're also a nation on the globe, and there's mayors all over the world. We're so fortunate to have the first president is Mayor Garcetti. You were there when he was elected head of C40. C40 is this incredible international group dealing with environmental issues, et cetera, et cetera. So I just wanted to throw out we have an international affairs committee headed up by Nan Whaley, and so we're in the trade stuff. We were not there, for NAFTA, but we are now in it, and we're very much involved in it. And but I just wanted to mention Austin.
Sure.
It's very important.
Sure. Well, I tell you, we could fill up this stage with other mayors that have similar experiences and could share valuable information, but I thought we had a great panel. Can you give these mayors a round of applause? Thank you all for... They are all a wealth of information, and I know that they all would be happy to meet with you and share some of their personal stories afterwards. There's information about membership at your seat. If you have any other additional questions, certainly seek out Tom, myself, or Luther, who is the head of our membership team here at the Conference of Mayors. Certainly happy to engage with you more there. Ladies and gentlemen, mayors, we have a really exceptional week. As you know, we've got a little bit later today, we've got Mayor Bloomberg will be here, Mayor Buttigieg will be here. Tomorrow we've got Valerie Jarrett, we've got Frank Luntz. We're going to finish with a meeting at the White House with President Trump. And in between that, we've got about 100 mayors leading really valuable sessions that I think are going to be incredibly compelling and interesting. The 88th winter meeting is off to an incredible start. Thank you so much for being here at our opening session. We're going to do our best to try to stay on time and on schedule to make sure that we respect all of our speakers, so please help us do that as well. As we conclude this morning an opening plenary, if you're a new mayor or a first-time attendee, please come up to the stage as we're going to take a photo. Thank you so much for being here. God bless. Let's have a great meeting. Thanks, everyone.
Ladies and gentlemen, for the group photo, if you could move to the sides of the stage. If you go to the sides of the stage, we have people there to assist you to get onto the stage. So make your way to the side entrance on your left and on your right, through the curtains.